Welcome to Breakpoint, the ServiceNow Developer Podcast.
Hello, admins, builders, developers, and curious individuals that I say with the utmost love and respect. Welcome to, or welcome back to the Breakpoint Podcast, the ServiceNow Developer Podcast, here to bring you all the latest tools, tips, and tradecraft to accelerate your developer career. My name is Laura McManamon. I am one of your senior developer advocates here at ServiceNow. I'm also the host of the Breakpoint Podcast. And let's be real. We've had a lot of weeks of a lot of product heavy episodes. And of course, those add a lot to a developer's career. Enablement being one of the number one things that y'all are asking for with regards to these episodes. But that's not the full picture. There's a lot of things that the ServiceNow community does to elevate the career of others. And that also exists in the form of a lot of programs we offer today. And so a gentleman from these programs reached out to me and said, hey, let's draw a spotlight to them. It's an interesting timing as some of them are entering into periods where they will be announcing the next class of these programs. And so we're really going to enter into a period where people have a full calendar year to apply for them. And I thought, what could be a better time to talk about them? And who could be a better person than someone that's been part of many of them, which is Hardit Singh. Welcome to Breakpoint. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing amazing. How about you, Lauren?
You know what? I'm doing great. I'm so thrilled to have you on the podcast. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you in person. So It's great to have you here on Breakpoint this morning or this evening for you. So thank you again. He's being a real champ because he's doing this late night on a Friday for y'all. So give a round of applause for him.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's do a little bit of an introduction to you, Hardit. Let's talk about your career. What currently do you do with regards to ServiceNow and kind of what led you to working in ServiceNow in the first place?
Right. So I'll start with my career history. I started as a HPSM developer. Have you heard about HPSM?
I have, but I'm not by no means an expert.
So I was working in HPSM, and in those murky waters, I used to be developing and then upgrading those HPSM servers and HPSM product like for 2-3 days. And it was a great experience, great learning. And then I was introduced to ServiceNow a decade back. And when I started using, it was just an ITSM tool, right? So it started with ITSM, and I was already using HPSM, the ITSM tool. And
Yes.
after that, when I moved into ServiceNow, I was like, oh, it's just drag and drop on text boxes. That's it. You have to create a form, it's automatically created. It's just a small thing, but in HPSM, you had to actually create those, design the form, drag and drop the fields on the form here and there to put it at the spot. So just a small thing but great impact on me. And then those upgrades, so in HPSM it used to take 3 to 4 days to just upgrade HPSM. And when I saw in ServiceNow, it just was a button click.
Hey, that'll win anybody over.
Yes, right. And then luckily I was in the Rhode Island that time, and I started my ServiceNow journey from there. I learned about it, and we used to have, I think, wiki, right? So ServiceNow wiki. So from there, I started learning, and the only person who was answering on ServiceNow community was Chuck Tomasi. So we used to ask questions, and he used to answer. So great days, great learning. There were 3 certifications only at that time. Now we have many certifications. A lot of change, but yes, I loved that journey. Right now, I'm working on agentic AI and focusing on CRM. So my day-to-day life is I go and actually present or develop or architect these solutions of agentic AI. So right now, I'm building a couple of AI agents for my organization and
Nice.
learning CRM side by side.
Very, very cool. How has the experience been with learning agentic AI? Obviously it's a newer technology, so not a lot of our customers, not a huge chunk of customers have developer access to that yet. So how's your experience been?
I would say a lot of customers are interested in that, and they are willing to invest in that. And I think we are already in September, so they want to spend their budget and
Yeah.
invest into agentic AI. That's the first thing, and everyone wants the piece of this cake. What I feel, people are interested, clients are interested. We just have to deliver the value.
Hmm.
That's what I feel, right? So if you can show them, if you are saving these number of hours for the service desk people, I think
Hmm.
you got it.
Wonderful. Well, that's great to hear.
Right.
So, outside of ServiceNow, is there anything that you like doing? Do you have any fun hobbies or interests that you'd like to tell the podcast about?
Right. So, if you had seen my YouTube channel, love spending time with my kids. I was blessed with a daughter. She just turned one. So,
Oh,
yeah.
congratulations. Oh, that's
Thank,
wonderful.
thank you. I love spending time with them. I wish I could have them 24 hours playing with them and all. So, but yeah, that's
Oh,
my
you sound
favorite
like a
hobby
fantastic
nowadays.
dad. That's well,
Thank you.
that's a very rewarding hobby, and that sounds like a
Yes.
very sweet dad. So I love to
Right.
hear
Right.
that. Definitely a time monopolizer, though. So I'm not surprised to hear you're not like you're running marathons at the same time or things like that.
Right,
So,
right.
a little bit of background on this episode. Like I said, Hardit reached out to me and he said, "Hey, we have these awesome programs. There's always people asking questions about them, and I think
Yes.
that the timing of this episode is very interesting." Now, if you're listening to this on the day that this episode came out, you might be seeing some really interesting posts announcing the
Yes.
latest classes of Rising Stars. You'll see Sarah
Yay.
Gary. Yes, and right. Huge applause to all the latest class that was just announced. So we thought, what a better time to kind of talk about this Rising Star program and kind of dig into why it's valuable for people to apply for it. So let's kind of just start off slow. What really is the Rising Star program as, a former member of it?
Right. So, Rising Star program was introduced to motivate the people, the content creators, or the contributors who
Mhm.
just started contributing into ServiceNow community. Earlier, we had only two programs, the developer MVP and the community MVP. And I think this was a great stage and great addition to this ServiceNow community, because first of all, if you are new and you don't get an opportunity to become MVP directly, but at least you can become a rising star and be motivated to become a MVP. So that's a really great addition, great motivation for everyone. And who are just, striving, who have to give something back to the community, we should do something for them as well, right? I think that's what a rising star program is.
Yeah. So, kind of in summary, so there are a couple of social programs that the larger community team is trying to offer, and so they serve to have a couple of purposes that are the same. I would say the similarities between Rising Star and MVP is to give people a social opportunity, a means to create a sense of community across the world for people in a similar type of position. And then in addition to that, right, it's to reward those that are giving back. And so whether they are someone that is a real pro that has done this for a long time, that's earned that title of being an expert, something like an MVP, or someone that's being very vulnerable, kind of documenting their process and still in the process of learning, like a rising star, I think both are trying to reward the effort of giving back because there is a lot to learn from both sides of that story. You do not have to be an expert for people to learn from you and learn from your journey. And so, what was so at the time of your career, what was your level of ServiceNow expertise when you were applying to be a rising star? I think that's an interesting
Right.
kind of point to talk about because that was a few years ago. I think that
Yes.
was what, 2022?
2021.
2021. Ah,
So,
darn. Close.
so right. So I just started contributing to the ServiceNow community a year back, in 2020. I created a YouTube channel. I
Mhm.
started writing answers on the ServiceNow community. And at that point of time, you were allowed to write articles as a nothing. If you were nothing, you were allowed to write articles. But now we have a criteria that you have to be a rising star to write articles. But at that point of time, I started doing all of these activities, and I think I moved up into the community ladder, as well as I had a few couple of YouTube videos, and I applied for the rising star program and I got selected. That was a great feeling at that time. But I think if you want to be a rising star, these are not the only ways. There are many other ways which we can discuss. But yes, this is how I started.
Yeah. And so as part of the Rising Star program, what were some, like you said, you did mention one of the privileges was now on the community, you have the ability to author articles. So
Right.
currently, if you've gone on the ServiceNow community website, you can post questions, you can post, I believe they're like little small snippets that other people could respond to. But one of
Correct.
the permissions granted to Rising Stars and MVPs is they can write more lengthy articles and kind of dive and be spotlighted better by some of the other product pages that we have. So that's
Right.
one perk. What other perks does the Rising Star program offer people?
I think best one is the swags.
You know
Like a
what?
bottle, yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, I like that. And obviously, that's not a
Yes.
unique attribute to just Rising
Yeah.
Star. As you can tell by Hardit's shirt, obviously, as part of the MVP program, you get some cool stuff too. So hey, everyone likes free stuff. Free stuff's real fun, and it's the least we can do for the work that y'all have offered back to the community. So that's the part
Yes.
two. So anything else for the Rising Star community?
Yes, right. So there are actually multiple perks. I would say you get real visibility in the community. You are
Mm-hmm.
just not someone. You have started your path to become a thought leader. So every time you are posting something or you go to a ServiceNow meetup, you say anything that is taken seriously. Okay, so
Yes.
it kinds of becomes a responsibility to become a rising star as well. You cannot go and say negative things about people. You have to be very positive. You have to
Mm-hmm.
start mentoring the people, and you have to start telling people how to become a rising star. It's not just that you become a rising star and you forget about everyone else. You have to continue that journey. So I think if you become a rising star, it's very difficult to be a rising star in future as well. So it's a responsibility, I feel.
It is. So not only
Yes.
obviously you get some perks, you get some free stuff, you get more permissions on the community website. I believe there are also mentorship opportunities within the Rising Star
Yes.
program, but it
Right.
also does come with responsibility. You basically
Right.
are becoming a brand ambassador, an external brand ambassador for
Right.
ServiceNow. And with that, your word holds more weight. But of course, too,
Yes.
you are expected to continue to contribute back. And so
Yes.
I
Right.
think that's a good thing to mention is like it's not just a bunch of perks. Like it's like the Spider-Man thing. It's like with great
Yeah.
power comes great
Comes great
responsibility.
responsibility. Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
One more thing I
So
forgot. Actually,
yes.
you get a badge on ServiceNow community. That blue color badge.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool
Yeah.
stuff. It's nice to see that. Also, because, when we did that community uplift, they added that additional page that kind of is like your quote unquote ServiceNow resume. It shows the certifications you
Yes.
have and things like that. So it does bulk
Right.
you out as far as your credibility is concerned as a ServiceNow professional. So tell me a little bit
Right.
about too what earning Rising Star did, because obviously, you earned
Right.
Rising Star. I think you said 2021,
Right.
2022, and but
Correct.
eventually became an MVP. So how did being part of these programs alter your career, or what relationships became possible because of them?
So I think I'll tell you a secret. So Rising Stars and MVPs have these monthly meetups. So
Oh,
you
very
are able
nice.
to hear the things which are coming up in the future, and
Hmm.
then you can actually go and raise problems in those meetings. Okay, so as
Yes.
I said, you are a thought leader. Your words hold weight, right? So you can go and raise your voice. What other people are facing those problems, or what are you facing problems? That's one. And then one other thing which I found personally useful is if I join a new organization, or if I'm in an organization, people will know you. People will ping you on Teams. They will ask problems, and or they would come and say, this was a solution which you provided on YouTube or ServiceNow community, and I saw we are in the same organization. That feeling is amazing. So nothing compared to that. So when people come and thank you, it's a motivation.
Absolutely. So it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
only just a spotlight too, but it also gives people
Right.
the ability to find your content. I will say that too,
Right.
with how large the community has gotten recently, and with
Yes.
the additions of things like AI, you're seeing a lot more content coming out. There's just constantly content coming out. So having that additional spotlight of being a rising star creator or an MVP creator does really help people find the content that you're creating. Now, you mentioned that there is a meetup component where they, you get you're, like I said, you're a brand ambassador, and so with that comes some perks.
Right.
Obviously, there are, in these conversations, there are product leaders that come in, or earlier, I mean, let's be honest, right? Everyone signs an NDA, so you're under a little bit
Mhm.
of, you have to
Yes.
hold your tongue on these things, obviously, but they
Right.
can help you anticipate what will be valuable to the community soon. So, for example, were there topics covered in these meetings that helped you become a better content creator?
Yes, it does. So you can go and talk anything about in this meeting. So they have some topics already decided, but you can go and bring up your points as well. And then what the people are doing. So for example, nowadays ServiceNow is focusing on agentic AI. So I know I want to also focus on agentic AI and move with the world and move with ServiceNow. So I think this is one of the advantages. And the other advantage would be, I think people would be giving you your feedback. That's amazing. So if they are giving feedback that maybe you have to create content next on this, or you have to go and learn this, or you have to build networking. So I think all these perks are really amazing.
Now you spoke of networking, and I think that's also an interesting element of these programs is that whenever I go now to Knowledge or when I ever go to the World Forums, I often see a lot more developers hanging out with one another.
Yes,
Like let's be honest, sometimes developers not the most social people on earth, and so it's
I
nice to
know.
see people already making connections and bonds. And so what I quickly realized is a lot of them either were past alumni of these programs or current members of these programs. So was being part of the Rising Star and MVP program, did that help instill a sense of community within you? Was it nice then when going to these events to have faces that were familiar?
Right. Yes. So I still remember meeting a few people online only, and then I went on to our program, and I actually met them personally, and it felt so good because you had been talking to them online for hours and hours, and when you
Yeah.
meet them is a separate thing, right? So we have been talking with other MVPs or other rising stars. They are contributing. You take help from them, they take help from you. So I think meeting them on CreatorCon or knowledge sessions are amazing. Yeah, I think you are not the only one. You will like you said, developers are not the most social people, so at least you will know.
Sometimes.
Right, so you know at least someone whom to talk to. And there are many people, just trust me, the rising stars and MVPs, they talk so much to each other. They talk about so much of stuff which which will always encourage you to be in ServiceNow environment. What's new is coming, how they are getting motivated, what are they doing in their work. So I think it's really great to be part of these programs. Yes.
So, aside from like the social benefit too, like was being part of Rising Star, did you receive mentorship like in that program that helped you become an MVP? I think that's one of the things I would really like to cover too is how these programs differ. I mean, we touched on it lightly, but what are the really
Right.
big differences between being a Rising Star and then being an MVP, you would say?
That's a great question. And at the time when I became a rising star, I didn't had mentorship. I think if I would have that, I would have become a rising star before that. But I think
Mhm.
you have a mentorship program in Rising Star where you can sign up to be a mentor, or you can opt someone to be your mentor. and
Nice.
um and I have heard people saying something new is coming up this year, so where you will be guided as a rising star how to create content which is more intuitive, which is
Mhm.
more engaging, and which is more useful for other people. So
Mhm.
yes, the mentorship program helps you to not only stay as rising star, but move one step ahead.
So
Okay.
we've talked about the rewards to being part of the Rising Star program. We've also talked about the responsibilities, whether that is being a
Yes.
great brand ambassador, whether that's providing our product teams feedback, or perhaps as well elevating the community standard at these larger events for developers to feel more welcomed as part of them. So let's talk about the application process. So as you've seen
Okay.
online, as I mentioned earlier, we have a whole new cast, of rising stars. So again,
Yes.
congratulations to them. But that also means that we are entering into a full calendar year in which someone could realistically prepare to be part of this program. So, in your best advice, how can one prepare for the application of the Rising Star program?
That's an interesting question, and I think many people would like to hear this. And there are people actually making contributions as well, and they are expecting that they should be rising star. But it's unfortunate sometimes people don't become a rising star. So I think what you want to do is to be consistent. That's number one. So when the application opens, you go and start contributing into the community. That's not how it works. So you have to be really, really contributing throughout the year. And you can start off by having answering those questions on ServiceNow community. After that, you can have your content published on LinkedIn. So whatever you are working on, I think you should go and publish that on LinkedIn. So, for example, if you are working on IRM, you can go and have something like day 20 or day 30s of IRM, how to become an IRM expert in 30 days. So that's one thing which you can do. And then you can split up your content into different months and different, so that you are contributing consistently. That's one way. You can go and create videos on YouTube, and you can go on Twitter and write articles there as well. So I think there are multiple ways, but I think these are the most sure short way to become a ServiceNow rising star if you are contributing throughout the year.
Absolutely. So let me just level set a
Yes.
little bit. So it's a little hard because community also refers to a sense of community, but oftentimes we are referring to the capital C community, a ServiceNow community
Yes.
website.
Yes.
And so
Right.
with the Rising Star program, there is selection criteria. Like you said, it's not always completely objective. It's not like you have to create 200 articles and then you're Rising Star. It's not like that. But I think what you said was very important: consistency. So we want people that are not obviously just making content to be part of Rising Star. We want people that have a innate want to help others. And so that usually showcases itself in not just posting stuff the month before the due date of the
Right.
Rising Star program.
Yes.
And
Correct.
so we look for, like you said, people posting on the community site. Typically, I think that there's levels as well to that indicate how consistently you post, and so that helps as well. So try to elevate your community level. I think that certainly
Level
won't
9.
hurt.
I
Yes,
think
that was
level
the one
9
for
and
this
above.
year. Yes.
Yes. Right.
Um, but also too that is elevated by showcasing blogs, answering questions and things like that. But I would also agree with Hardit that you don't just have to exclusively do this on community. There are tons of ServiceNow developers that need help on community. And unfortunately, there's tons of ServiceNow developers that don't even have a community account. So doing things on, like you said, YouTube and LinkedIn and X or Discord
X.
or whatever is always also helpful too.
Yes.
Some of those are hard to document than others. But I
Right.
think one thing that's clear as well is that we want someone that is a positive member of the community. I
Right.
think that can be misconstrued. No, we're not looking for people that only say positive things about ServiceNow. That's nice. I'm kidding. But we are looking for someone that can be we're looking for someone that can be both honest with developers about what these products do, what they excel at, but also when there are issues with our platform, be honest about it. There are ways of being diplomatic about that. We're not looking for someone that's just a ServiceNow rage baiter by any means, but help
Yes.
people in a proactive manner. I think that's one thing I really like to clarify, because I've seen that before of people being, like, oh, they only want people that are advertising. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We want people that are helping others on our platform. And that part of that help is being honest about it too. So by no means are we only looking for an ad per se. I think finally, one thing that I would also mention, I would love to get your opinion on this too, is because there are lots of people, the main reason they don't contribute is because they're like, I don't find myself to be an expert in this. I don't feel like I
Right.
have authority in this space. So what would you recommend to people that, feel hung
Right.
up on their perceived, their perception of like, am I an expert
Yes.
enough to help others?
Right. I would actually answer that personally. When I started creating YouTube videos, I never thought of people would be seeing those videos. I right now have approximately 9,300 subscribers. But
Let's
when I
go.
created those, but when I created those first 40 or 50 videos, I thought there was no one looking at them, not even
Mm-hmm,
100 views on any video. So that
mm-hmm.
was the thing. I think that's where you have to be motivated by yourself, that I will
Yeah.
do and I will contribute and I will be actually documenting everything I'm working on at least. So
Mm-hmm.
if if in the future, even if I need to go back and see what I have done, I can go and look at that. That's the first thing. Secondly, people should understand there are newbies always coming into this technology, right? And they would
Yes.
require the same help which where you are stuck. And
Mm-hmm,
I think if you start with the very basic also and then move
mm-hmm.
on to advanced stage, just keep documenting everything, even on LinkedIn or on X or maybe on YouTube. Anything is fine, but as long as you're contributing, I think it would really help everyone.
You mentioned something that I am a huge fan of, especially the more content that I've gotten to consume, is the document of the process. And that documenting of the
Yes.
process can include stumble. Like that, it can include you being wrong. I mean, look at one of the most successful series that our team has done is the live coding series. I
Yes. Right.
Christy, Earl, and Travis are three of the most brilliant people I've met. They all make mistakes too. You don't think that they're immune from mistakes? Absolutely not. And so having the process documented not only, I think, shows a very earnest depiction of development, but also it prevents other people from falling into those similar mistakes. So don't think just because you've made a mistake in Flow Designer or
Yes.
UIB that you can no longer create content on it. I think it's the opposite, actually. I think that documenting some of those issues is even more helpful to the community in the long run.
And one thing which I would like to highlight, if you're posting content, there could be some negative people in the community who can pull you down. So just don't be afraid of them, because I have seen that many times happening
Yeah.
at the start, and even I'm looking at that now. People
Mm-hmm.
will try to pull you down and or they will try to degrade you, but you always have to stick that I will be creating my content, I will put my best efforts in there, and
Mm-hmm.
I will take all of those comments as some as a constructive feedback, and I will work on them in the future as well. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Or
most
some
essential thing.
Or honestly, sometimes not. And I think that's one thing that I struggled with a lot when I started doing this job is that it involves a lot of content creation. And so sometimes you will
Yes.
get very helpful feedback, and sometimes you'll
Yes.
get feedback that is pointless. There's a term that our team uses a lot, and it's don't get one guide. Essentially, it's like don't let one person in the comments saying something silly or intentionally mean, don't let that detract from the 90 likes that video got or something like that. I think that one of the sinister sides, unfortunately, of anonymity on the internet is that there will always be people that take advantage of that for their own sick and twisted pleasure of making people squirm, unfortunately. And so luckily I've seen it probably the least with regards to
Yeah.
ServiceNow content with it, as
Yes.
opposed to like actual real like like Mr. Beast and stuff like real YouTubers, quote unquote, where I'm like, oh my
Right,
gosh,
right.
who could ever comment that on someone's post? But you will still get a few renegade things, but don't like Hardit said, please do not let that detract from you. Even if it is something that you're like, oh, I did make a mistake in that. That's okay. Like everyone makes
Yes,
them. It's totally fine. Live and learn. Like you said, learn how to absorb the ones. This is advice I give myself too. It's not like I'm immune from this. Take in the advice that is worth it and just try to ignore or honestly delete the ones that don't, because it's not benefiting anybody. There's a great quote from Teddy Roosevelt. I came across this quote recently. I was kind of I don't really get that intimidated by public speaking anymore, but I do for some reason. I get hung up on doing large webinars. I think it's because I can't
mm,
see the audience, and so I get a little bit anxious going into them. And there is this great quote from Teddy Roosevelt. I'm not going to do the whole thing; it's pretty long, but it's basically talking about being the man in the arena. There are many times in life in which we choose to be the man in the arena, and the crowd will sometimes applaud you. The crowd will sometimes throw tomatoes, but you're the one in the arena, and they're not. And that is a privilege, and it's also, it does come with other things, but you are the one in the arena, and that is a daunting, courageous thing to do, regardless of who is watching. And so I think that it is always good to push ourselves to try to be that man in the arena at times.
correct. Exactly. So I will tell you a story what happened in CreatorCon. So you missed this
Yeah.
CreatorCon, Lauren. We missed you, by the way.
Oh, he's talking about CreatorCon India. I got to go the previous year. Christy and
Yes.
Travis and Alan joined them this year, but I was sad to miss out all the fun.
Yeah, we are hoping to see you next time. But
Fingers crossed.
you know what happened? My session was at the last. So I was in the keynotes, and there were around 1100 people. And the swags counter started. Okay, and
Yes.
people actually started leaving. And there was a queue of 100 people there. They were leaving, and Andrew's session just finished up, and people were leaving, and I came up, and they were still leaving, and I was like little anxious, like you said, so much crowd, and they are leaving as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually stood there. I gathered all the courage in the world, and then I started speaking. And when I started speaking, everyone actually stood there and listened to me for entire session. And that
Mm-hmm.
was a great feeling that I made them stand there and they were listening to me. So if there is a negative thing going around, you can go and make it positive as well.
Yes, that's a great lesson to learn.
Yeah.
I commend you on doing the keynote, because that crowd size can be very daunting, and
Yes.
that's another rewarding aspect of these, both the Rising Star and MVP program. I think that they are a very good gateway into training ourselves as developers and as community members to do more and more outreach like this. I don't want to ignore the fact that doing this takes a tremendous amount of courage, especially because programs like Rising Star as well, you can have someone nominate you for it, but oftentimes you have to have the courage to nominate yourself. And so
Right.
I think that doing this not only helps us be better community members, but frankly, it's also a huge boon career wise. I think that as developers, we need to challenge ourselves more and more to embrace this side of the job. I think historically it's not as common to do so, but being able to craft a narrative, to tell a story, to win over a crowd is a very helpful trait, even outside of public speaking or content creation. It's helpful when trying to get someone to, buy in on something on your backlog. It's helpful to trying to convince your boss for a raise. These are all similar
Right.
traits. It is. These are all similar traits that you can utilize to help people grow and develop and be better developers, but also personally as well in your career, they are equally as advantageous to develop too.
Agreed. Yes.
Well, do you have any parting words of wisdom for those seeking to apply in 2026 for the Rising Star
Right.
program? Any challenges you'd like to offer them? Any products you think they should, focus on, or how do you recommend they move forward?
I think the world works with ServiceNow, so you have to work what ServiceNow is working on. I think that's agentic AI. So I would highly recommend you to focus on Now Assist and
Mhm.
agentic AI and create content on that and be consistent and don't post the regular stuff. Post
Yeah.
something unique, post something which people will like and it would be helpful for them. And I would give everyone a challenge, go and post every week one article on LinkedIn of what you
Woo!
have
That's a good
of what
challenge.
yes, and whatever you have learned in the previous week. I'm not saying you to go and learn something new,
Mhm.
just post whatever you have learned on LinkedIn. That's it.
Document what you've learned on LinkedIn. That's a very nice way to do that because not only does that showcase, hey, like it keeps you accountable, I would say. It's like I have to post this, I better learn something this week. But also, too, the art of teaching also helps you become better at a subject matter as well. Like half the time, I remember the first presentation I ever did on Flow Designer was when Flow Designer came out. I think 7 years ago now. I didn't even know how Flow Designer works. So I had to learn it to teach it. But what a better incentive to learn it than the fact that there was 50 people learning from me in a week. So I like
Right,
that. So consistency, obviously, not just posting the month before Rising Star app comes out. Good to know.
right,
I think focusing on AI is a very wise thing, especially if here's the other thing too. If your company already has access to either some or all of the agentic AI features, you have a massive head start. There's still tons of
yes.
customers that have not bought in yet. And so if you have any experience with our agentic AI tools, help people. I think I think our company's done a pretty good job of documenting a lot of things for AI to help encourage, but it's never enough. There could always be more, even if it's subjective, even if it's your opinion on certain things, you never know
Right.
who's listening. So our product team notoriously is very active on community, very active on LinkedIn. And so your commentary on it could also help these products become even better, I would say. So focusing on consistency, AI, and I love the documenting the learning process on LinkedIn. That's a great goal.
And one more thing I would actually like to end this with is with your experience. When you go and teach someone, you will have to be an expert to teach someone. You can't just go and teach anyone any topic. You have to go and have in depth knowledge of that topic. So I was actually training an offline batch of the newcomers and in one of the organization, and they were asking all the crazy questions, and I was teaching them UI policies, client scripts and all, and they were saying, why is this like that, why is this like that? I was like, okay,
Like I
I
didn't
need
build
to
it. I
do
don't
some
know.
research. So it was a 30-day offline session, and for the first few days I was like, I have to go in depth and learn everything of the next day, even if I'm going for script includes, how many types are there. So I can go and teach them how many types are there, but why there are so many types. Just a simple
Right.
question from them.
You're like, why are there
So
so many
right.
types? I gotta figure that out.
So crazy stuff. So if you actually are teaching, I would actually recommend you, if you want to go in depth about a topic, just start teaching on YouTube, or go and mentor someone. You will
Yeah.
actually be proficient in that.
That's the other pathway too is mentorship. I
Right.
think that those types of conversations too allow you to get a lot deeper into subject matter. One thing I would also recommend too is don't shy away from what you already prefer. I think that's the other thing too is that the platform has gotten so massive recently. I'm trying to come up
Correct.
with in my head the objections that people have in their mind of like why I don't make content or why I don't contribute to the community. One of them is often, well, I don't know everything. Who does? Who does? I just made a whole advertisement for ServiceNow University about how bad at UIB I am. So if that gives you any any illustration, there's no one that knows everything. So lean
Right.
into what you already know and lean into what you already like. If you're a back end
Correct.
person, focus on back end. If you like doing front end, do front end. Low code, pro code, whatever you have experience and what you because also your passion comes out in whatever you make. If you're not interested in what you're making, it's obvious. It's very obvious that if you don't care about what you're making. And also utilize AI to help enhance your content. I think that's the other thing too. I teased a little earlier about how much AI content is coming out. Some of it's good, some of it's not. Let's be real. So it's also easy to tell if you wrote it. It's like colleges right now. They're all going through this epidemic of ChatGPT written essays. I'm seeing some posts on ServiceNow community where like that was not a person writing that. So Be aware, we can tell, and be aware, don't use it to help. Obviously, write a draft, have it edited, have it shorten it or lengthen it, or recommend bullet points to assist for different personas and things like that. We are by no means saying don't use AI at all. Use it as an enhancement on your already proficient content creation abilities is what my recommendation is.
That's a great advice, Lauren. Even, frankly, I will tell I use that. So what I will do is I will write a draft and I will ask the chat GPT to convert it into carousel. Okay, that's a secret.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great thing too, because there are lots of other types of graphic design and things like. Not everyone spends a bunch of hours in Canva like we do, so use it to help it augment the content. I think that's the distinction: is use it as a tool to augment. Don't use it as that's my content. That's all I did was just prompt ChatGPT, because we're here for you. Like that's why it's a community builder, which is dependent on people being part of the community and people helping people. So yeah. Awesome. Well, Hardit, this has been a phenomenal conversation. It just whizzed by too. I was so shocked when I looked and see how long we've been recording already. I'd love to give you the opportunity to promote a couple of your resources as well. You already mentioned your phenomenal YouTube channel. That'll be linked down below in the description. Is there anything else you'd like to promote today?
I think YouTube, and actually I'm also a ServiceNow Developer Meetup host of Delhi. So I would like people to come and join whenever you are in Delhi. Please come and join the Delhi Meetup.
Awesome. Do you have a next set date for the Delhi Meetup or not yet? Do you have an anticipated quarter?
Yeah, it is. So we usually have quarterly meetings, but we get sponsorship from some organizations, so we do more than one every quarter. So the next meetup is scheduled on 27th of September in Delhi, and
very soon.
There will be again amazing sessions, so please come and join.
Awesome. September 27th in Delhi. You heard it here first. Don't miss out. It's an amazing group of people that I'm sad I missed at CreatorCon India last year. So fun fact, last year we did Bengaluru, Pune, and Hyderabad. And this year they added Delhi. And I was like, oh, that sounds so fun. So I'm glad it was a wonderful experience. Congratulations again on doing the keynote there. That's awesome. Any final thoughts?
I think just be real and post real content. That's it.
That's a great way to end it. Wonderful listener, thank you for joining Hardit and I today. This is one of many ServiceNow podcasts. You can find the others at, honestly, the community website. So please go to the community website to see the other ServiceNow podcasts. This has been brought to you by ServiceNow with producer me, Lauren McManamon, here to host as well. Thank you again for joining us here, Hardit. Stay hungry, stay humble, and we'll see y'all in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Please let us know what you think about this podcast. You can leave feedback or ask questions in the ServiceNow community. For more great information on ServiceNow development, check out the ServiceNow Developer portal at developer.servicenow.com. Thanks for listening.